Hey, it's Andrew Greif of the Oregonian with Tyson Alger, also the Oregonian. Utah just beat Oregon 62-20 at Autzen Stadium. That's Oregon's worst loss since 2003 against Washington State. This was an absolute brutal throttle of Oregon at the hands of the Utes, who came in and dominated in the trenches. They won with style points, with a fake punt, a punt return, a halfback pass. They did everything that Oregon usually does to other opponents and made it look really easy. I don't know really where to start with this, but the defense, the offense, special teams looked really good through that.
Honestly, what you just touched on, like Utah felt like how Oregon usually does in these situations. They kept the gas on with the offense. Going into their locker room afterwards, they're talking about how, we can get better. This was a good game for us. It was all those kind of cliches that the Ducks usually throw around when they throttle an opponent here. But in there, the Utes definitely knew they could take advantage of Oregon's young secondary. They talked about the lack of size Oregon secondary had too, and not that was the only weak point the Ducks had this game either. It was just across the board bad.
Yeah. Vernon Adams Jr. started at quarterback as expected, even though he had the kind of banged up throwing finger on his throwing hand, I should say. He got pulled, though, in favor of Jeff Locke. He was only 2 of 7 for 26 yards passing. Didn't have a lot of time, but also didn't look like he knew quite where to go with the ball. Locke started out well, led them to a touchdown on the first drive, and then it kind of petered out from there. Oregon, I'm not so sure they have a quarterback controversy on their hands, as it was suggested after the game, as much as I don't really know they have a quarterback who has all the answers at this point. And going into Colorado next week, I don't know quite where they turn.
Yeah, it was interesting because Locke came in and led a touchdown drive on that first drive, and there was so much momentum there. He was trending nationally for about 15 minutes, but then the defense comes back and allows Utah to come down and score on that very next possession. Then there was a penalty that it just snowballed down, and Locke returned back to below below average. It was just a mess on all courts there.
Yeah. So some superlatives from this game. Oregon allowed a punt return for a touchdown for the first time since 2007. If not for Taylor Alley's late touchdown run, this would have been the worst loss, home, away, whatever, for Oregon since 1985 against Nebraska. I mean, they were really close from some historic marks tonight. Utah is gone. They're one of the best teams. Oregon's also lost to Michigan State. Again, one of the best teams in the country. I guess that's the moral victory here. They lost to 2 very good teams, but they got pounded tonight. This next part of the schedule sets up well for them. You go Colorado, Washington State, Washington, but the defense looks like it has not improved one bit in the last 4 weeks.
No, and then I think the scary thing for this, though, is just how ineffective the offense was, too. Everyone knew that Oregon's defense was going to have its struggles. It's always been that bend but don't break. But when you have an offense that looked as inept as it did tonight, there was rarely a drive that they put something together where you went, that reminds me of that Blur offense that Oregon's been famous for the last 10 years.
Yeah. So lots of questions. Who knows how many answers will be forthcoming in the next week, but we'll figure out who this Oregon team really is next week in Boulder.